Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Um, Welcome to our monthly webinar for Rapido. So today we will be having our first webinar of the year. So I'll start by sharing my presentation, and as usual, we will run through the presentation, and then we'll probably have time for questions. So if you have them, we'll be able to answer them. Okay, so I hope you're seeing my slides, and we're going to kick this off. So as we usually do, we are going to cover some aspects of the Rapido community, what's happening, and we'll run through the main highlights of the Rapido February release. And we also have our little frequently asked questions corner, and we have an interesting one for you today. Also, maybe just to mention that if you have a question that you want us to answer via this channel, please reach out, and we'll try to add it for one of our webinars. Um, but yeah, okay, let's move on. Okay, so as always, I do want to say that we continue to grow in terms of the community and the customers that are going live. So of course, this is enriching our borrowing and lending members in the different pods that we have, which is great. And today, actually, I wanted to focus on two main new options that you have with Rapido. The first one is the roadmap. So our roadmap is published under the Knowledge Center. Once you go into the Rapido page down at the bottom, you'll see the roadmap. So go in and take a look. You'll see there our main areas of work, the vision of they're based on our vision of resource sharing. You also have a view of the whole list, and it's you have an idea of where we're moving to, and of course this gets also updated from time to time because things do move a little bit, and of course also we add more things. So, but it's a good opportunity to take a look into what Rapido is going to look like in the following months. Another thing that happened with this first month of the year is that we officially launched the idea exchange for Rapido. So there's some ideas already there, but now we are also looking into them. So if you have any cool idea of something you would like to see as an enhancement request in our product, this is the right place to go and put those ideas and have the community vote on them. So I invite you to go and visit those two pages. They're there for you. Okay, and with that, we're going to move to the Rapido February release for this year, and we're going to start as always with the Rapido ecosystem. So the first, my first slide here for the ecosystem is reflecting work that we've done during the past releases and has been completed now on the possibility to do peer-to-peer with OCLC products. So being able to set up a partner that has Vultr or Relay or Tipasa and doing peer-to-peer. This hasn't been released officially from our side, so you won't see it or won't be able to use it. But I did want to acknowledge that we've done this work, and now we're in the process of communicating and testing with OCLC. So there is progress here, but we still need to, in order for us to be able to release this, we need to complete testing, and we are working towards with OCLC so that we can test with them. Most probably, we would like to engage with a customer that also has partners of this type, so that we can also maybe have a test with one of you. At some point, we will connect with you as we see the progress of the testing with OCLC. But in our terms, this is ready. It just needs to go for the testing, and we are dependent, of course, on a party that is outside of our company. So we need to be patient and await that this process is completed before we release this. So stay tuned. But the good news is as soon as we're finished with the testing, we'll be able to let it go. Okay, so next slide. Again, staying in the ecosystem area of work. Um, as you probably know, we try to fulfill requests in various different ways. So we try to fulfill requests according to your pod priorities, the locally managed pods, if you have rotas, if via the find partner functionality, etc. Now we know also that for many institutions that are not working with Rapido, with Alma, maybe they don't even have an ILS, I don't know, or they have something very different. One of the options, the only options for these institutions to be lenders is to receive an ALA form. So this development that I'm going to show you and show you all of the steps for setting up the development is precisely to automate the whole process of the ALA form. So it's a very cool development. So I'm going to start with the very first step, and the very first step is that a user from your institution has created a request, and the system hasn't found a partner. So we've tried everything, but we didn't find a partner. You might have even tried the find partner function, I don't know. Or maybe you already know who has it in your library networks, and this is a partner that only works through the ALA form. So this is what we are going to run through now. Okay, so the basic component of this is that we have a new type of partners, and this partners support the ALA form. So in continuation in the workflow, my next step would be to add this partner because the system can't automatically add it. Of course, we don't know that it has it, but you know that this institution has it. So once you know that this institution has it, you go into the request, edit mode, you go into the rota, and you select a partner to add from a list. And we're going to select a partner that I have called ALA, but of course it's named differently. It's just for the clarity of this presentation. And it also has the code ALA, but this is of course not mandatory. The important thing is that this partner is of a very particular type. This partner is of type ALA email. And what I want to show you now is that I've added this to the partner, and my next step would be, of course, to send it, because I now need to send it. So we'll talk in a second of what happens when I do this action, when I send, when I select a partner and send it to them. But first, let's take a look at that partner record. So as I said before, we might have many partners of this type. So you would probably not have one like I did in my example, you would have many. The important thing is that the profile type, as I said before, is of a new type that you now have in your dropdowns, ALA email, and the system type should be other. Beyond that, very importantly, this partner, in the partner record, in the parameters tab, we need you to add the email address of this particular partner, because this is the email address to which that request, that ALA form is going to be sent. So the setup is very simple in terms of what to add. Of course, you can add more information in the partner record, like telephone numbers, etc. But the basic idea for this to work is to have that profile type set up, and the other in the systems, and an email to which the lending request is going to be sent. Okay, so what do we see? That after I've clicked send, because I've selected this particular partner, my request has been sent, has been changed, and is now set to that particular partner. Again, I don't want to confuse you. This is the ALA partner, but we can call it something else. And the status has changed. So this has been sent to the partner. So what does our lending partner or friend that is going to send us this resource is going to receive? So they're going to receive this. They're going to receive an email. So we're working with the technology of the email. The email is going to be sent to that specific email address that I mentioned before, but it's going to also have this attachment. It's going to have the ALA form attached. And the beauty of this development is that you don't need to do anything manually, because today what you were doing is actually filling this form manually, maybe, I don't know, scanning it or sending it in some way to these partners, but all of the information from that bibliographic request, from that borrowing request, are copied with the information from the institution. So my email, my phone, my address, of course, the main bibliographic information, all of the information that is required here in this particular case. And before we leave this development, what I want to say, just to make sure that you're not going to look for something and don't find it, is that today the process is as I showed you today. So today the ALA form is sent after you have done all of the process. What you don't have today is the possibility from the borrowing side to see this ALA form. So you'll see the email, but you won't be in the attachments tab of the request, but you won't see the ALA form. This will come up in another version, in another release of Rapido. But of course, this doesn't mean that you have to wait for that. You can start using the development. The ALA form is created and is sent to this to the lending institution that you've selected. So a very nice workflow of automation of the ALA form, and I hope that for those of you that are using the ALA format, this will be helpful and efficient. And for your partners as well, of course. Okay, and as always, our user is at the front, so I want to talk about a development that we did around networks specifically. So we're talking about consortia, and we have our consortia that have Rapido. So those consortia that are using the check holdings at other campuses, so the network availability statement, the information was not available. The information of the resource being available at those campuses, those institutions was not available. And from the February release, that will be available. So again, this, in my terms, is really, really important information that can help our users make a decision while they're placing their request. So if they see it there, they might do something different. So now this information is available. Okay, are moving to a set of developments for our staff. So another very important user in resource sharing. And I want to start with the expiry period. So as you know, there are possibilities to set different possibilities in Rapido to set expiry periods. I want to specifically, it's not specific to this development, but if you recall a few releases ago, maybe a year ago, I don't remember, but we added the option to have at the pod level, to define at the pod level the expiry period. And what this means is that I, as a lender, when this expiry period is over, the request is rejected by this lender and it moves to the next lender available. And we were asked many times whether this was counting weekends or not. So before the February release, it wasn't counting anything. So it was just the period of time that you had there. And now we've changed that, enabling you a type of configuration that I'll show you soon because it's very flexible. I just want to mention, because I was asked today in a previous session which job this is, the job that actually moves the request. This is the expiry resource sharing request job. And we had problems with that request, with that job actually running. So I do want to say now, even before I start to explain the development, that's also fixed in the February release. So from now, beyond this new functionality, if you use it or not use it, if the job is running, those requests will be moved according to the expiry period. But let's go to our development. So we've added a new option under the resource sharing configuration, and the option is resource sharing working days. So even before I go and show you the configuration, I want to be very clear on the difference between a library being open and the resource sharing workday. So a very good example could be a weekend, because maybe your library is open during the weekends, but you're not doing lending work. So this is exactly why we want to avoid those lending requests to be moved to another lender, right? Because when things move, then it's going to take more time. So you, for example, if you're not working on Sundays, you would prefer that request to stay there because the first thing that you're going to do on Monday is actually take care of those requests. And this is exactly what we did. It could even be used for if your lending staff is not doing lending on Tuesdays, you could select a Tuesday. So it's very different from that Alma option that we have on opening library, when the library is open, or shutting down your lending requests, as we showed in our last session for holidays or something like that. This is specifically for the expiration of the lending requests. And it's a very simple configuration option. So it's a little box and it has mainly explanations of on what it is. And you can see here that I've selected Saturday and Sunday as the days that I don't do lending. So this time will be not counted into the expiry period. And this little arrow here would enable me to add more days if there are more days. So this is the way to handle non-working days from the expiry period. If it's always a Sunday and a Saturday, you just can leave it there. But if you want to suddenly, because of something, add something else, you can just go there and add it and then remove it. Okay. Another development is regarding our work letters, work paper around resource sharing. And before we go into the details of this one, I just wanted to say that we're doing a lot of work around the letters. So we've done together with the working group that has helped us identify. So you will see more functionality being delivered in the next releases. This release specifically brings you two fields of information, the name of the pod and the pod ID, which some of you find useful, specifically for two letters. So this is the resource sharing shipping slip letter and the resource sharing return slip letter. And you can add those fields, the pod ID and the pod name. Now, they're not by default, they're not added by default. So if you want to add them, you will need to go to configuration, general letters and letters configuration, and from there, add these fields if you want to include them from now on your paperwork. Okay, and another development that we have for you this time is the possibility to change the way you view things on the task list. So two things that we're bringing you this time is the possibility to configure the record view, so what you're seeing in the main task list, and also how to configure the action list, so the different actions that you have available for managing resource sharing requests. Now, both of these actions that I'm going to show you need to be, if you want to change them, use them, you need to, of course, go to the borrowing task list and the and you know, change them accordingly because the actions differ. So let me just show you how it works. We go to the little wheel here, and we have two new options. So you have actions customization and record customization. And with these two actions, I'm going to show you what you can do. Okay, so the first one is the record view. And sorry, the first one is the actions. So I want to show you first the actions. So you can see here when we open that link on the actions, we see all of the actions available. And there are two options here that you can use. One option is that, for example, if you use mainly one action or two main actions, you can change now the order of the actions. So you would do this just by moving them, kind of dragging and moving them to the position where you want to see them. And if you want to hide for some reason an action, you can drag it. This is why I divided my list a little bit to show you that at the lower end of the list, you will see that there's a possibility to drag an action and put it into this hide section so you won't see it again. Again, I don't know if you need this or you want to use this, but the possibility exists. Now let's take a look at the record view, the other option that you have here. So you can see here that we actually have the different data points that we have under our task list. And you can define if you're seeing too much information, you can decide not to show it. And if I wanted to not show the author, and I'll show you how you do this in a second, you would, just click here and the author wouldn't be shown. So here's the example. This is before the change, okay? So I have my same record that we started with this presentation. You see the authors here, but I've clicked there, so I don't see it afterwards. I don't see it anymore. So it has been removed. Now, just as an indication, important to remember that if you've changed something in the customization, but you don't remember that you've done it, and suddenly you feel that, or someone comes to you and says, hey, I've missed data, whenever someone customizes something, the wheel will also have an indication of that this has been, the views have been customized. And also when you go into the menu itself, you have a little green dot that shows you that this has happened. And you always have here at the bottom at the left, you have the option to reset to the default. So if you don't remember and you just want to reset to the default, you can use this option. Okay, so with this, we've covered our main developments for this month. And I want to move to the frequently asked questions, and then we'll move to your questions. Okay, so today's we have a pretty complex frequently asked questions, but we decided that we wanted to make order from now on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about four different actions that we have in Rapido. And we want to talk of, they're very similar in some way. They cause a little bit of confusion. So what we want to do is cover what they do and also when to use them. So we're going to talk about reject. We're going to talk about cancel partner, recalculate, and the reactivate actions. We're going to deal with them one by one and compare them. And so bear with me. And I hope that after this session, there will be no more confusion. Okay, so we're going to start with reject. And the first thing that I want to say about this action, out of the four actions, this is the only, we're going to start with the order. This is the only action that is done by lending. Okay, so I know there's an option for borrowing. We'll talk about it. But out of the four actions that we're talking today, reject is a lending action, even though you can also do it from the borrowing side. But what does it mean? Usually the action is used from the lending task list, and it's used by our lenders to say that they cannot actually supply the request that has landed on their table, on their task list. When our partner is Rapido or Alma or ISO, any type of ISO, if the lender uses this action, the borrowing side is going to receive a message, and Rapido is going to find the next lender in line. It's not exactly a line. It will do its algorithm and will find the next suitable lender. And this has implications. A new letter will probably be sent to the user if something has changed in the terms, et cetera, et cetera. But the action is coming from the lending side. So the next question that you would probably want to ask me, so why do we have a reject option on the borrower side? We have the reject option on the borrowing side because, as with the ALA partner that I showed you before, or with any email partner that you might be using today, partners actually don't use the system to make all of these workflows and information flow through the system automatically. So probably this type of partner is going to send you an email and say, hey guys, we can't actually do this. We need to reject this request. And this is when you, from the borrower side, will use the reject. But you're actually reflecting that the partner that is today assigned cannot provide this request. And this is important because this information will go into the history of the request, and this is why you want to use the reject option. Of course, when done from the borrowing side, there is no message that is sent to the lending side. There is in the lending side has contacted you, but they probably will cancel or will do something else. I don't know if they're not ISO, close the request, but they won't be providing this to you. From the borrowing request, this action is valid if, of course, the research hasn't been shipped. So this is when you will see it. Okay, so reject our only action from the lending side, and we'll move in a sec to our other three actions. Just a little note, there were some issues with the reject action. So if you have questions regarding that, that's also a fix that's coming on the February release. So you will be able to reject. The problem with reject before the February release is that it wasn't moving to the next possible lender. So also on that area, we're releasing a fix on February. Okay. So we're starting the actions from the borrowing side. Okay, so cancel partner is our first option. So this action is used to send a cancellation to the lender. The request is not closed, it's kept open, and it moves to the next lender. So the question is, when do you use this action? I hope you don't need to use this action a lot, but this is used when the current partner is not responding for a reason. There's an issue with this partner specifically, and that you want to cancel. So your action is saying from the borrowing side, in this case, I don't want to work with this partner. Please look for a next partner from me. What I want to say here regarding this particular action is that it's also a little bit different because it's not in the drop down of the actions. In order to use the cancel partner today, you need to go to the edit and from there do the cancellation. But we want to extract it and put it aligned with the other actions. So that's also on our roadmap, and you'll see this happening soon. But it's important that you know that the action exists. Okay. Let's get more complicated stuff. Okay, recalculate partner. Okay, so the recalculate can be, again, it's from the borrowing side. It can be used also for requests that are with coming from a pond. Of course, it can also be used when you're coming from a ROTA, your lender is from a ROTA or from a pond. And this action also sends a cancellation note and the request to the lending institution to which it is attached, if there is an institution, important to say here, and then it moves to the next lender. So what is the big difference between cancel and recalculate? So usually I would suggest you use the cancel if you, for some reason, are not happy with the lender. The recalculate partner is usually used when something went wrong with the system. So statuses such as locate fail, if the locate failed, again, you can't cancel because there is no one to cancel, but you want the system to try again, so locate fail. In some cases of created borrowing requests, because you want to see what happened, maybe, maybe something happened and it's by mistake in the status and it could have found a partner. So these are the situations where I recommend using the recalculate partner. But I do want to also, for those of you that went into implementation, are now on implementation of Rapido. During the implementation of Rapido, we use this option a lot much more than in production. So we use it to reroute requests to Rapido. We use it as a means of testing Rapido in some ways. But we've also heard from some customers that it kind of sticks with them after the implementation, and there's some staff that are using the recalculate just as if it was needed. So it's not needed. It's not needed for all requests. It is in the implementation process, it has its own use. But on production, again, you don't need it for Rapido to function correctly. It's more for this kind of statuses that I mentioned before. Okay, and reactivate. Okay, so I'm going to close with an easy one, I hope. So reactivate is an action that we only use from the borrowing side when a request is completed. So it's in a final status like shipped or request completed, any final status that you have. And the purpose of this action is really to bring that request back to life, um, to set it up in that proper workflow step of bringing it back to life. And when using the action, you can enter a text, a message to the lending site. So explaining why you're reactivating this message. Maybe some type of communication between the lending site and the borrowing site for some reason. Something happened there and you want to reactivate the request. This is the action that you would use. So I know it's a little bit complicated. There are many, many options, but I hope that this has made it a little bit clearer for you. And I think that with this, I'm done with my slides, so I'm going to stop sharing. And if there are questions from the audience, this is the time to ask them. So let me take a look. Okay, so great first question. So when you start using the exclude non-working days, will it apply to already existing request? I think it will because again, if you remember what I explained, there is a job that is running and moving them forward. So if they're still under your lending, it will probably take that into account. It might be that, so it will take that particular day. I don't know in what status they are today in your particular institution, if they haven't moved for some reason. But I believe that it's only for new requests. So I'm thinking it over, and it's only for new requests. So thank you for the question and for making it clear to everyone. Okay. So another question here, just want to clarify, reject at the moment doesn't move the request to the next partner. We'll ask from the February release, and the answer here is yes. So we know that reject is not working today, and from the February release, it will definitely work for you. Okay, I'm trying to see. There's another question. Cancel partner has canceled the request for us if we didn't have another partner already added. So cancel again. Cancel doesn't. The cancel doesn't. The cancel. I'm just looking. The cancel doesn't kill the request. Okay, if that's the question, Becky. If I'm not answering, just send me a note. But the cancel doesn't kill the request. It doesn't set it to a closed status. You don't need to duplicate and create a new one. It just cancels the partner that is associated, and the system will try to find another partner, and it sends a cancellation to the current lender. Okay, I'm going to check if there's something else. Okay, so you're saying that in the recent past, with another partner, clicking cancel partner will cancel the request. So that's not my understanding, Becky. If the system is doing this, I would need to check, but this is not the intention of the cancel. There is a cancel option though, if you want to cancel the request to the patron. Okay, and I don't have this in front of my eyes now to go into that specific workflow, because you might want to cancel. So you do have a cancel. It's cancel partner. Okay, so that, you know what? This is an excellent question. I shouldn't use the cancel by itself. You're right. There is an action that is called cancel partner, and that's the action that I'm explaining today. There is a cancel. There is a cancel for you to cancel the request because of some decision that you've made to cancel the request for the borrowing. So it's a different type of action. But if you're writing that you will check, but specifically this action, and it's good, please check the specific action that I'm talking about now is one that you will clearly say as cancel partner. So please, when you check, if you're checking what I'm talking about now, please do check the cancel partner and see that this is not canceling your request. It's just canceling the particular partner and moving and looking for an additional partner. And I'm receiving here requests, and maybe I don't, maybe I need to check this, but if you don't have more partners in the rota list, it kills the request. I don't know. I don't have the answer here. If what happens if there is no next in the rota. But I think that the intention was actually the intention was not that one. The intention is just to keep it alive. Okay, I see something else here in the chat. If we set the weekend as non-working days, will this automatically move any new requests made over the weekend to another partner? So again, it doesn't. The non-working days is not for those requests to move. And remember that we had that clarification that this is going to work only for new requests from February when the production is updated. But remember, the idea is actually not to move them. So the request here was a request landed, let's say on a Thursday afternoon, and for some, like our pod has a 2 days expiry date. I don't know if they're really 2 days expiry date. Sometimes it's longer. Whether it would be moved, and you actually wanted to fulfill this request for your friends. So you wanted it to stay so that on the Monday morning you work. So actually, it works the opposite. If you add the weekends, if you add Saturday, Sunday, or any other day that you add, the expiry date will check what day is today, the job that actually runs and works and decides to move. And if it sees it's a Sunday, I'm going to take the Sunday, the weekend example. It's really easier. If it sees it's a Sunday and now you've reached the expiry date, the job understands that it doesn't need to move the request to the next lender because tomorrow morning you'll come and you'll deal with the request. Okay. Okay, let's give it one more minute for more last questions. We have the time, but I can also release you if you want to go. For now, I'm not seeing more questions. No, I'm not seeing more questions. So I want to thank you. Do your testing, please. Let us know if you see something weird. And I hope this webinar has been useful. And of course, enjoy the February release. See you next month. Bye, everyone.